Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the August 28th Lebanon City Council meeting. Our first order of business will be the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we'll move on to the roll call members. Madam Clerk, call the roll, please.
Mike Kincaid.
Present.
Keith Campbell.
Here.
Morris Jones.
Here.
Dick Robertson.
Here.
John Copeland.
Here.
Brent Wheat is absent. Sierra Messenger.
Present.
Okay, thank you. We'll move on to the approval of the minutes now. Any changes or edits to the minutes?
Make a motion we approve the minutes.
Good motion approved. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from John. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, minutes are approved. All right, the first item up will be a swearing in tonight with the Lebanon Fire Department. Chief Batts.
Tonight, Mayor Gentry is swearing in Jason Lee to the rank of Battalion Chief. I joined Lebanon Fire in 1997, and Jason was hired in 1999. We have spent a lot of time together at LFD. There is no one that loves the Lebanon Fire Department more than Jason. Jason has saved the taxpayers of Lebanon countless dollars doing in-house vehicle maintenance. He has been a dedicated lieutenant for the last 9 years. He is one of my best friends, and I trust him with my life. And I couldn't be more proud tonight that he is being sworn in as a battalion chief for the City of Lebanon Fire Department. Mayor and Council, I'd like to introduce Jason Lee.
So you're going to left hand and raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, state your
I,
name,
Jason Lee,
solemnly swear
solemnly swear
that I will support the Constitution of the United States
that I'll support the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of Indiana
the Constitution of the State of Indiana,
and all laws and ordinances
and all laws and ordinances
of the City of Lebanon.
of the City of Lebanon.
And I will faithfully discharge my duties
I will faithfully discharge my duties
as a battalion chief of the Lebanon Fire Department
as a battalion chief of the Lebanon Fire
to
Department.
the best of my ability.
Best of my ability.
So help me God.
Help me God.
Congratulations. You're not going to make him do a speech, Chief? No, you're not going to make him do a speech?
Yeah, come on up, Jason.
Old Chief Batts trying to get the old tears running there. I want to thank Mayor Gentry, Chief Batts, and everyone for their confidence in me, and I look forward to leading this ship to continued success. Thank you.
Thank you. Well said. We'll stand in short recess. Obviously, we have a lot of firefighters here tonight, so if you guys want to leave, feel free, or we do have a very exciting agenda tonight, so feel free to come stay by or dismiss yourself. Either way is fine. So we'll stand until the fall of the gavel. All right, we will re-adjourn now. Next item up will be a presentation from Joe LePage, if Joe's ready. Maybe run around tonight concerning the audio visual upgrades for this built room as well as the utility conference room as well, so.
Absolutely correct, Mayor. Thank you very much, and council, good evening. I want to be able to talk through some of the potential improvements to not only this building here in the city council chambers, but also the room behind me in the utility conference room. Brief history lesson, the discussion about audio improvements within these two rooms began in 2016, was revisited in 2021, but really was the catalyst, the jumping off point. Councilman Robertson came to both Matt Hutton and myself, Matt Hutton with Lebanon Utilities, about revisiting the improvement to the audio experience within this room and the one behind me. Kind of a backstory, we had a benchmarking community down south in Monroe County, and so we took a field trip down to Bloomington, took a look at not only the county courthouse, but also the city of Lebanon, the city of Bloomington rather, and how they do things there. We utilized kind of what we saw and the bells and whistles and the things that we feel like would have a positive experience for our community, both here in this room, but also those folks that are watching right now on our YouTube channel as well. We broke it down from a city's perspective, the things that we heard from you folks, from being able to hear and understand things that are happening within this room. Audio-wise, it's difficult at times, and visually, it's difficult at times with just the two monitors in the front of the room. From the utility side of things, they are holding their utility meetings back there and would like to have some flexibility and being able to have some people join remotely. And so two different needs, one kind of shared space, and so a shared price tag as well we'll talk about shortly. What kind of was the catalyst, the jumping off point, was where we had a difficult, kind of contentious conversation with the League District meeting, and both rooms were filled and it was difficult to hear. And so some of the perception that we heard from both people here in these rooms and also listening and watching via the YouTube channel was that there was something, nefarious, or something was being hidden, or something was being kept from the public, which was of course not the case. But we want to be able to have that experience, whether you're here or watching at home and remotely, the best it can be. And so we reached out to three different entities to be able to take a look at potential upgrades for the audio experience in both of these rooms. We talked to Blades Audio Video Security, All Pro Integrated Systems, and AV Designers. AV Designers is the company that installed the video and current audio within these two rooms here. And so after talking with them, meeting with them, and chatting with members of the council, we passed along three different proposals at three different price points, and would welcome the opportunity to discuss that further with the overall goal to be able to make a decision to move forward with increasing the audio experience in here. And so if you're listening in this room, I project okay, but some folks don't, and so the CAN speakers will be improved. There'll be two different bays of speakers that will be pointed at the audience, and so you'll be able to hear better there. And at the front of the room, there are microphones that have speakers built in with them on all three proposals, and being able to improve the listening experience as well. So you're able to have quality conversations and being able to have very little guesswork when these meetings are concerned here. So.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Any questions for Joe from the council? Again, there's no action tonight. It's just Joe, we've officially been sent all of the proposals now. We want to just publicly address that we're looking at it. We'll probably be addressing it in a future meeting. So any questions for Joe at this point?
I'll just comment that I was with Joe when we went to Bloomington and the city of Bloomington and Monroe County, and because I was bragging about Monroe County, and the people said there that, hey, go to Bloomington and look at theirs. They got the same people doing the same work there, only theirs was, wow, it was really cool. This, I think, by talking with the guys and making sure that this is what they think we need, and going over, we feel like this is the best one to go with. Brent sat in also in the last meeting when we kind of made this selection on the firm to go with. We spoke with utilities. Utilities has agreed to go with us 60-40, 60% for us, 40 for them. So they will participate in the improvements. We think there's going to be something good that'll help all of us across the room here, as well as Chad back there in the corner, so he can hear better, keep him awake back there in the room, and so forth. So that's the whole intent, is to make it so everybody can hear every little detail that's going on a lot better than we used to have. So That's the intent.
Joe, how old is our current audio equipment? Is it as old as the building, or is it?
There was one upgrade before this one, and so just a quick backstory, and I failed to mention that the two monitors would go on the side of the rooms, and larger ones would be at the front of the room. But what had happened several years ago when the visual experience was upgraded, and we're now in high-definition cameras in here, the audio had the chance to be upgraded. It was not, and so all three firms took a look at what we have now that are broadcasting the audio in here and saying that we are at near fail capacity, and a number of different times it has taken, Hail Marys that were answered, thankfully, to be able to actually have meetings because the audio system, for whatever reason, took a nap, and so we weren't able to revive it, and so people have had to come in, and it's been quite literally a duct tape chicken wire situation with the audio when that's concerned, and so would love to be able to upgrade that to be able to have them both not only match, but then to kind of take us forward to be able to increase that experience. So it has been nearly a decade with our audio where that's at.
Thank you, Joe. Any other questions for Joe from the council?
Just a comment that I've looked at the proposals, and I agree with the one that you've selected as being the best option. So I'm in favor of it.
I'll go ahead and make a motion.
We're not doing anything tonight. This is just a presentation, so we'll actually have the funding at our next,
Oh, okay.
we'll put on the agenda as a funding
Okay.
discussion at our next meeting. So,
Okay.
very good. All right, thank you, Joe. Appreciate it.
Okay.
All righty, next will be old business. Is there anything there's nothing on my agenda, is there anything from council on old business?
No, sir.
Okay, new business then. First item up will be the second amended memorandum of understanding concerning the grasslands water supply and wastewater capacity pre-reservation. Jeff Jacob.
Good evening, council. Thank you for your time this evening. If you recall, in the spring of '22, a memorandum of understanding was negotiated with IEDC securing capacity for the Lilly site, securing water and wastewater capacity for the Lilly site. And this was about 1.35 MGD of capacity at each utility. And then in October of '22, the utility board and subsequently the city council approved that capacity reservation agreement, and the MOU, the original MOU, was executed. And that called out that IEDC would pay $7.9 million for water availability fees and $13.4 million in wastewater availability fees specific to the reserve capacity for the Lilly site. In February of '23, a portion of that payment was made by IEDC to the utility, and then, in fact, $10 million was paid. And then in March of '23, I was last in front of you on dealing with this agreement, and an amendment to that MOU was presented and again approved by the utility board and the city council that extended out, because of complexities related to the project, extended out that payment and introduced the concept that the remaining $11.3 million could be offset due to credits, just like we would treat any other developer. If they upsize the capacity in a line beyond what they need, for example, then the utility pays for or offsets in availability fees that upsize credit, if you will. So what we have been exploring with IEDC, because there are obviously going to be a number of infrastructure improvements on the water and wastewater side, on how to do that, because IEDC's preference, and if it suits and benefits the utility, when there's work being done to a system in an area, that we upgrade. That saves money for the utility and our current ratepayers, and it makes sense from IEDC's standpoint. So we have been working pretty diligently trying to work through what that arrangement looks like with IEDC, and there's been, as you're aware, a number of complexities and twists and turns to that project from an infrastructure standpoint, and we simply need more time. So this evening, you have in front of you the second amendment to the Memorandum of Understanding related to the water and wastewater capacity. And this, in essence, asks that the payment deadline be extended from August this month until November. It also hones down on the details of the concept of the potential water and wastewater credits that the utility would be seeking. And the first one, and very importantly, we're basically buying back capacity that was sent to the Lilly site, bringing the current ratepayers back to whole. And so that 1.35 MGD of water capacity, we're proposing that we would credit back in availability fees IEDC as they are bringing in a secondary source of water to the city. Again, bringing us back to square pre-Lilly on that capacity. The other concept is looking at how we would work through credits on the wastewater side, which has been a little bit more complicated. We don't quite see the benefit there, and we also believe that the wastewater utility could use the cash, frankly, rather than those credits. So we've worked through a few of those issues. Our challenge is to make sure that these infrastructure improvements, and I think it's important for you all to know, these infrastructure improvements that we're looking to credit IEDC are infrastructure improvements that are for existing ratepayers. These are non-LEAP specific or non-Lilly specific improvements. So this is an asset. The availability fees are an asset of our current ratepayers. That was sold, and we're looking to credit back, receive payments or credits for improvements to our existing system, nothing to do with LEAP or LEAP 2. So it's also important to note this amendment comes to you after unanimous approval of the utility board. They're full support of it as we work through some of the complexities. We hope that November would be enough time. I think the mayor's been in a number of meetings talking about this issue, and I think we're moving things along, but we simply need a little bit more time. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions on Jeff from this?
No, sir.
Again, this is, as Jeff can attest, it's been kind of a moving target for us. This absolutely does not let the IEDC off the hook at all, right? Again, if anything, we are, and I've told them as well that they're, November's going to be probably the firm date, right? I mean, I'm not thinking, well, we'll try to go past that again. But I think it does, they're just based on bigger forces at play. There are some things that I think we do their request for more time to kind of hone down on this, I think, was fair and understandable. So we want to be good partners with the IDC, but also they owe us either money or an infrastructure, essentially, right? And so we're holding them to that. Doesn't change any of those rules or agreements we've been making. It's just strictly about the timeline is kind of the focus at this point, as you heard from Jeff. So with that, any further discussions or questions?
No, sir.
Any public comment concerning this? Okay. Would then entertain a motion to approve the second amended memorandum of understanding for the Grasslands water supply and wastewater capacity pre-reservation.
So moved.
Motion to approve. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Morris. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? All right, that is approved. Thank you, Jeff. Thank you, council. All right, next up will be Resolution 2023, Lebanon Cedars Project approving an amending declaratory resolution in Plan Commission order. Is this, Rob, this you, Ben? Rob? I'll go ahead.
Mayor, Council, this resolution before you is one that we've done before, similar. What it involves is the Cedars Project, and it is essentially, there was at the RDC and then at the Plan Commission, a resolution to remove certain parcels from the Lebanon Industrial Park and to create a separate allocation area, and this is one other step in that process. Eventually, what will come before you is an incentive package, much like what we've seen with New Cold or other projects of that similar projects that we've done in the past. This I can go through it, but again, it's more of a technical resolution, and again, that we're going to be approving the amending declaratory resolution, which you've seen, that was before the RDC, as well as the Plan Commission order that's been submitted to you. So with that, I'll go ahead and read it, and then if you have any questions, I'm happy to address it. Resolution 2023-22, again, is a resolution that approves an amending declaratory resolution and plan supplement of the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission and an order of the Lebanon Plan Commission. This, it gets pretty detailed, but again, the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission serves as the governing body of the City Redevelopment District. In 1994, the Lebanon Redevelopment Commission adopted a resolution 94-1, which established an economic development area known as the City of Lebanon Industrial Park Development Area. It also approved an economic development plan. There were several amendments to that, and that's all defined in this resolution as the original allocation area. And then this was further consolidated, and that's defined as a consolidated area as well as a consolidated plan. Then on August 14th of 2023, the Redevelopment Commission adopted the resolution that you've received, and it's attached as Exhibit A, the amending declaratory resolution that approves certain amendments to the declaratory resolution and the consolidated plan. Again, it removes certain parcels that are identified on Exhibit A from the original allocation area, and it designated those parcels as the Cedars at Lebanon allocation area. It also adopted a supplement to the consolidated plan that's attached as Exhibit B to the amending declaratory resolution. Then on August 21st, 2023, the Lebanon Plan Commission approved and adopted an order, which is attached as Exhibit B, that approved the amending declaratory resolution and the plan supplement. And it determined that it conforms to the plan of development for the city, and it submitted this order to this council. So therefore, be it resolved that this council hereby determines that the amended declaratory resolution and the 2023 plan supplement conform to the plan of development for the city. And this council hereby approves the amending declaratory resolution, the 2023 plan supplement, and the order, and it shall be in full force and effect from and after its passage.
Thank you, Rob. And just to clarify for council too, and anyone watching, this is talking about the area south of John Shaw Road and 39 and the railroad tracks kind of down that southern tip of city limits down there. So if you're kind of the kind of wedge piece there, down there. So any questions, discussions from council?
No, sir.
Any public comment concerning resolution 2023-22? Seeing none, then I would entertain a motion concerning resolution 2023-22.
I'll make a motion, we approve resolution -2023-22, right?
Yep, we have a motion. We have a motion to approve and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That is approved. Thank you, council. Okay, next will be ordinance 2023-14. Council to consider a rezone for 102 Birchwood Drive. This is on first reading. Ben?
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, council. I couldn't get this plugged in here, so I can give you a little bit of a background. All right. Hopefully that works. So this is a rezone application that came before the Plan Commission at their meeting last week. This is the property in question you see highlighted in yellow. You can see the Interstate 65 off at the bottom of the screen to the south of the property. Carpenter Realty office is just west. The Hallmark Homes model home is just here to the east, and actually these three lots here that are due east of the property are all single-family homes that got constructed by Habitat over the last year and a half or so. So you got an area where you've got commercial uses to the west, residential uses to the east, and primarily residential to the north here of the property as well. This lot is currently zoned plan business commercial. It has been marketed for commercial uses for some time. It has some I would say some unique challenges to it. The detention for the Carpenter Realty office is contained on this property. Anytime anybody's looked to try to add additional commercial uses to this property, the actual buildable space is relatively limited because you'd have to also expand the pond to provide detention for whatever use goes on this side as well. So it has some challenges in terms of trying to do it for commercial uses. More recently, we had an applicant come to us and look at actually doing something similar to what Hallmark Homes is doing out here and actually construct a home on the property, but then use it for a period of time as in essence, a model home. So Davis Homes came to us looking to do this on the site, and what they want to do is actually rezone the property to a residential zoning classification, will allow them to construct the home. But then they would end up going to the Board of Zoning Appeals for a variance to allow it to be used essentially for a model home. There won't be any full-time staff here. It'll essentially be, they will essentially meet their clients here and be able to show them a model home, show what Davis Homes can do. Davis Homes does have some neighborhoods, but they also do build on your lot. So a lot of their build on your lot clients will meet them here to be able to see a model home. They do intend at some point in the future down the road that they might, when they don't need this as a model home anymore, that they could sell it as a residential home. That's the reason that they want to go ahead and rezone it residentially now to allow the construction of that home. So that's what's before you here tonight is an ordinance to rezone the property from plain business commercial to single-family residential SF2. I'll just show you also here a couple more items. This kind of gives you an idea in terms of the improvements that they would look to make to this site. You can see the model home that they have here. They will have to modify the detention pond to be able to accommodate access to the site. My guess is that they'll end up piping the detention coming off the parking lot to the west, and then they'll have to modify the shape of the detention pond to make sure that it still accommodates the Carpenter Realty office to the west, but also the development here on the site. That will have a small four-space parking lot for their employees and or clients when they're coming here to visit this model home. Then to give you an idea, this shows the model that they're looking to build on this lot here. So again, very nice home that would actually meet, this property is in the overlay district for the interstate, so this does meet all of our overlay district standards for residential or commercial lots here. So
access from the south, not the north.
I'm sorry?
So access would come from the south off of Birchwood Drive?
Yes, it would come off of Birchwood Drive
not
to
off
the
of,
south. Yeah, correct.
Meridian Street?
Correct.
Okay.
Is there enough room there for a drive to,
They would have to modify the pond.
okay,
So yeah, currently there is not room for a drive. So my guess is right now the water flows, it just surface drains from the lot into that detention pond. My guess is they'll probably end up piping it. And then they'll have to modify the shape of the pond so it still works properly.
How'd they get that set up where they collect stormwater on someone else's property?
My guess is it was probably master planned at some point when that originally happened and has changed ownership at some point.
yeah, it was a
So
long
they're
time
going to have to
ago.
maintain that detention for
They'll still
someone
have to
else.
maintain detention for both of those lots, yeah. And also, the applicant is here. If there's any specific questions about this, they'd be happy to answer any, but I would be happy to answer your questions if you have any as well.
Any questions for Ben at this time from council?
No, sir.
Does the applicant want to speak at all, say anything? Question of the applicant? Yep, oh, you got to come all the way up here.
So we can say everybody can hear.
We have a massive online audience that watches, so we want to make sure they can hear you at home.
Hello, Brad Davis, Davis Homes. We appreciate the opportunity. It's exciting what's happening in Lebanon. We've been longtime residents for years and years and built throughout the state. I did want to mention there's a chance that we'll be staffed a little more than just showing customers, and I wanted to mention that, Ben. I didn't know if that'd make any difference, but I wanted to clarify that just for the record. Maybe, depending upon traffic that comes by, we would staff according to the traffic, so. Any questions for me?
Welcome.
Thank you so much. Yeah.
All right, thank you. All right, with that, I'll have Rob read the ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. Council Ordinance 2023-14 is an ordinance that rezones property and amends the zoning map of the city of Lebanon. The petitioner, Davis Building Group LLC, filed its application for rezone before the City of Lebanon Plan Commission. Again, seeking to rezone approximately 1.1 acres in Center Township. It's located at 102 Birchwood Drive, and it's described in Exhibits A and B from the planned business commercial zoning classification as single-family residential, SF2 zoning. Pursuant to Indiana Code, the City of Lebanon Plan Commission conducted a public hearing on August 21st, 2023, and voted 7-0 to send a favorable recommendation of the rezone petition of the property, and certified its recommendation to this council on August 22nd, 2023. Pursuant to Indiana Code, this council has considered the application and the recommendation of the City of Lebanon Plan Commission and now adopts the proposal and approves the requested rezoning. Therefore, be it resolved that the petitioner Davis Building Group LLC has consent from the property owner Carpenter Company, Inc., via an affidavit to request a rezone of the property. The petitioner seeks to have the property, again, that's comprised of 1.1 acres, located as indicated 102 Birchwood Drive, Lebanon, Indiana, described in Exhibits A and B, rezoned from the planned business commercial to single-family residential SF2. This council has paid reasonable regard to the comprehensive plan, current conditions, and the character of current structures and uses in each district. And from and after this date, the official zoning map of the City of Lebanon shall be changed to rezone this property again from planned business commercial to single-family residential.
Thank you, Rob. Ben, is there a timeline here that would value to move this second reading tonight as well, or is there just?
I don't think there's anything specific from a timing perspective we would need to do that necessarily. It
I
can
assume
wait
they're
till
trying
the
to break
next
ground or
meeting.
something soon. Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions, discussion?
No, sir.
Any public comment concerning ordinance 2023-15? Okay. Ordinance has been read on first reading. We will take that up, or excuse me, this is ordinance 2023-14. Ordinance has been read on first reading. We'll take that up at our next council meeting, which will be September 11th at 7:15 p.m. Okay. Next will be ordinance 2023-15. Council to consider the Paddock Place PUD rezone for 605 West, 300 North, and this is also on first reading. Ben.
Thank you, Mayor. This is a PUD rezone, as the mayor said, for a piece of property on the north side of town. There's a lot of activity in this area, actually. If they want to go ahead and pull up the map for you, give you an idea. This is actually property that's currently owned by the Brandenburgs. This is State Road 39 North here, 300 North. We have a townhome development called Corbett Towns that Lennar Homes is proposing directly south of this site. And then actually north of the site is the mixed-use development Spring Creek that Gradison is doing on the north of 300 North up here. So this is the piece that's right in the middle here. This property was annexed at the same time the rest of the Brandenburg piece. It's probably been 2 or 3 years ago now. And it was brought in under the multifamily zoning district. So this is zoned for multifamily uses. We're working with the applicant actually on a multifamily project. And what we did with them is work to come up with a conceptual development that we all were comfortable with, and then looked at our zoning ordinance standards to figure out whether it would fit the way we wanted it to in terms of the concept. And there were a few things that would need to be modified in order for it to allow for the concept that I'll show you here in a second. So we recommended that they go ahead and go through the PUD rezone process to be able to write those standards to accommodate the concept that we all like for this site. And so that's what we did with them. And there are a few things that they modified from our court orders, not a significant amount of changes, but just a few things that needed to be modified in order to accommodate the concept. And so the concept for the site here is this that you see here. So, as I mentioned, the Corbett Towns development on Lennar is the south, so you can see they have a drive that's coming up from the south from Lennar Homes. It would be the primary north-south road through the site up to 300 North that you see here. We have worked with them to site this where, at least based on information we know now and knowledge we have now, across from a drive cut that would move into Spring Creek. So we do have those across from each other. And we've accommodated the significant amount of right-of-way that we expect to need on 300 North for the state's project when it comes through and makes this a divided boulevard through here. And what they would like to do is propose a series of 4 leased townhomes that you see represented here along the frontage of the property that would face out towards the modified 300 North. And then you've got a series of, I believe it's 7 apartment buildings that you see represented back here, and they've brought the buildings all out along the road and then tucked the parking in behind there, both on the west and east sides to provide parking for those 7 buildings. They do have a clubhouse that you see represented here. They will have both amenities in the clubhouse and also some outdoor amenities that go along with it. So that is the concept here. And they've wrote the standards to be able to accommodate the number of units that they're proposing here, and I'm trying to remember if I have those numbers. I don't recall them off the top of my head, but I can find them here in a second. Go back into the ordinance itself. I probably should just go ahead and let the applicant do this here in a second for you. Yeah, maybe they don't actually have it in here. I'll let the applicant provide that information for you here in a second. To give you an idea, they're still working on the actual design for the apartments for the townhomes, but this gives you an idea, some precedent images, the type of design that they're going for. So some examples, some other projects that they're using as precedent examples. And they're still working through the design. They'll be coming back in for their preliminary plan process through the Plan Commission here shortly. So they're still designing those renderings for the actual product, but this gives you an idea of the type and style of product that they're going for out here, both for the townhomes and for the apartments. So these are all this information is included as part of the PUD ordinance that's being presented for you here tonight. As I mentioned, this is a PUD rezone. It does come to you with a unanimous positive recommendation from the Plan Commission before you're here tonight, and that's a quick rundown. The applicant is here again to provide any additional information for you, including the number of units, which I don't have here on my ordinance, but they're happy to answer any other questions you have as well.
Ben, I just had a visual question for me on the concept plan.
Yeah.
That you had there. I was trying to keep up. You were talking pretty quick. The proposed right-of-way and then the cutout for that. What will that do to the entrance when that right-of-way is in existence?
So what they'll do is they'll basically provide a temporary entrance on existing 300 North. They're working on a traffic study right now to tell us whether they're going to need at least short-term, excel, decel lanes, passing blisters, that sort of thing, until 300 North is upgraded. So they'll basically, you certainly won't see the tapers like you see. You'll see tapers that you see here on 300 North, but then as you can see the dashed line where 300 North right-of-way, certainly that's going to get moved back once 300 North, and they'll essentially have to reconstruct that access point there once 300 North is brought through that area. So,
like I say, visually, I was looking at it, looked like it got awful close to the buildings there. So
yeah, so the intention was actually to push those townhome buildings forward. So that's what you see from 300 North as opposed to the parking. So they are pushed about 20 or 30 feet off that right-of-way line. So the intention was to bring them closer. So that's what you see from the road, and then put all the parking, et cetera, behind. And then obviously along their primary road through the middle here, we wanted to make sure that those buildings were pushed out to the streets on there. So that's what you saw as well, as opposed to parking, which we tucked in behind the buildings.
Yeah, we wanted to see more street-forward design, right, because this 300 becomes a kind of more of a developed corridor, obviously connecting to the interstate, kind of mirroring kind of what we're doing downtown Lebanon, honestly, with like the Forza building or the 451 Flats, right, where it's kind of more street-forward, sidewalks, trails in front, things like that. So that's kind of why the PUD essentially is necessary to kind of make that straightforward design. Obviously, kind of is interesting because we're building it to the kind of what the finished product of what 300 will look like, where it's versus just kind of like the county road cross section is today. But based on what we know from the state on how wide they want the right of way to be with the amenities, that's kind of how it's spaced out. So. Make sense there?
Any other questions?
Yeah. If the applicant wants to come forward and give a little more detail.
Let's see. Make sure I get the right one here.
How do I launch this?
Yep.
Hi. Thanks for your time tonight. I'm Amy Burmeister, Vice President of Development for Spectra. We really appreciate you hearing us tonight. Thank you, Mayor Gentry, and Ben, and what we're now internally calling Team Lebanon, for helping us get here, all the multiple TAC meetings, so we really appreciate it. Ben mentioned, I heard that he was a Thunder Stealer, and he has lived up to that this evening as well. But we're zoned for 180 units, but before we put pencil to paper, we met with Lebanon on several occasions and said, what's the gap here in housing? What do you need? What does it look like physically? how does it lay out? So I think in this layout, Abby's going to show you a little more detail on these townhomes and how we've oriented them and really buried the parking so it feels like a boulevard. It feels more community-oriented. So Spectra owns, manages, and has developed in 7 states. We build to own, and I think you'll see that with our design. It makes a big difference in kind of the finished product, how we manage and operate. So Abby Wilson is our development manager. She's going to give you a few more details, show you some more pictures, so you can visualize a site. But thank you.
Maybe I can get this to pull up. I'm a little shorter, so I'll put this down. There we go. We do have 250 units outlined in the PUD as our maximum number of total units, but we have 230 outlined in the current site plan, which would be comprised of 1 and 2 bedroom style units. So as you can see from the concept plan, to the left would be facing north, which would be 300 north. Those townhomes would be a walk-up style for rent townhome, so they would be 3 stories with a garage access from the rear, as well as a driveway. We do have the 7 buildings, which would be comprised of 30 units each, and a 5,000 square foot standalone clubhouse, which would have a fitness center, our leasing office, resident lounge space. We would also have outdoor amenities such as a dog park, outdoor fire pits, grilling stations, things like that, as part of this development. We did update our concept imagery a little bit since Ben pulled up the other one. As we work through the design with the design team, we feel that a modern urban farmhouse fits the community a little better here. So you see from the board and batten, the contrast from the white and the black facade really feels like it ties into the community very well. So happy to answer any questions on any of the concept images, concept plans, things like that.
So there'll be 230 units?
Yes. Currently, as the site plan sits, it's 230.
But could go up to 250?
We have a maximum of 250 in the PUD.
What makes that decision for you?
We don't anticipate it changing from what we have currently. When we submitted, it was back, I believe, early July. So we've had an opportunity to really work through the site plan with the design team since then. So we don't anticipate that to change. But as you work through design and get through design development, schematic design, sometimes you hit certain things that you have to pivot a little bit. So it just provides a little bit of comfortability in that respect.
So you had to make a guess back in June, essentially, on what it would turn out to be, and then when they actually finally got it designed, it was only 230. So.
Are you going to allow Airbnbs?
We don't allow that in our lease. It's usually 12-month leases, but that usually changes with the management. Sometimes it could go up to 15. So we usually don't allow Airbnbs, though.
Somebody could lease it for 12 months and then put it out there as an Airbnb?
So usually in our lease, we do have that you cannot have visitors or rent out your unit for more than a certain number of consecutive days out of your month or lease term.
So they could do it for a couple days a month?
Well,
okay.
It's classified as visitors, so it wouldn't be a stranger. It would be a visit if your parents came to visit or your sister was in town. So, but no, we don't allow that. We also don't allow any subletting of any unit. So
Okay.
the lesser is in the unit.
Okay, thank you.
any additional questions? Sarah?
I know this is, I know it's still in the planning stages, but what's your guys' target,
Lease rate?
yeah, like for income, or not income, like,
Price.
yeah, price point are you guys looking at to serve?
Amy, do you want to touch on that one?
Sorry, tongue-tied today. Ugh.
Yeah, I mean, as costs move, obviously those
Yeah.
numbers move as well. So I would say probably our ones will be in the 1,100-ish range.
Okay.
Obviously, the townhomes will be a different price point,
Right.
being 3-story and having garages, and that's a moving target, but. But today, that's what we have planned.
It's how much construction costs.
Are the
Yeah,
apartment,
yeah.
Go, Dick.
I'm sorry, are the apartments all two-bedroom?
1 and 2s.
One and two-bedroom? Okay.
The townhomes will be rentals also?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the for rent townhomes, we anticipate to be a 2.5 bath for rent.
Questions?
Nope.
Okay. Rob, I'll have you read the ordinance.
Thank you, Mayor. Council Ordinance 2023-15 is an ordinance that amends ordinance number 07-16, the Unified Development Ordinance for the City of Lebanon. Again, this council has adopted ordinance 07-16, the Unified Development Ordinance, pursuant to its authority under the Indiana State Code. The city is subject to the Unified Development Ordinance. The City Lebanon Advisory Plan Commission considered petition docket number 23-55 that requested an amendment to the Unified Development Ordinance and the zoning map, which all is described in Exhibit A as the real estate. The Plan Commission forwarded docket 23-55 after a public hearing on August 21st, 2023 to this council with a favorable recommendation by a vote of 7-0 in accordance with Indiana Code. Secretary of the Commission certified the action of the Commission to this council on August 22nd, 2023. Again, this council is subject to the provisions of the Indiana Code, and this council has met and determines that the Unified Development Ordinance and the zoning map are hereby amended as follows. There's several pages, again, as you've been provided. Section 1 defines the applicability of the ordinance. Section 2 addresses the definitions. Section 3 addresses the concept plan, which you've seen a description of it, but it's also attached as Exhibit B. Section 4 addresses the underlying zoning districts. Section 5 is addresses the permitted uses. Section 6 discusses and addresses the lot and the yard standards. Section 7 addresses parking standards. Section 8 addresses architectural standards. There's also attached as Exhibit C. And Section 9 addresses the permitting and procedures that are in here.
Thank you, Rob. Ordinance has been read on first reading. Additional comments, questions from council?
I would just like to welcome Spectra and Davis Homes, and, you'll find that Lebanon is the friendly city.
All right, well said, Mike. We will take up that ordinance at our next council meeting, which will be September 11th at 7:15 PM. All right, next item up, this may involve you, Title VI. Are you educated enough to speak on this, or do we need to delay this? No? Okay, all right. Get a blank. All right, so next item up is Resolution 2023-23. Tanya was going to present this, but she's dealing with some family matters, so would entertain a motion to table this resolution, and we'll take it up at our next meeting. Item E, yeah, sorry, what is that what I said? Yeah, item E, would table that.
Make a motion.
Motion to table?
Resolution 2023-23.
Motion a second?
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, that item's tabled. Again, we'll take that at our next meeting. Next thing will be tax abatements. Essentially, every year, the tax abatements get turned into the clerk treasurer's office, and we essentially have to acknowledge a receipt that they've been turned in compliance. So Kelsey, you have a list of all the ones we've received?
As of August 28th, we have received Bright Industrial, Catalina Snacks, GXO Logistics, SIV Lebanon is the tenant of GXO, Hachette Book Group, IBC Coatings, Monosol LLC, SB&F LLC, Purity Wholesale Grocers, and United States Cold Storage.
And then, is that all of them, or there's a deadline that is it by is it September 1st?
Yes.
Okay, so there may be a few more coming in as well, but we just wanted to acknowledge our receipt of these, that we've received these in on time. So, really just a motion to acknowledge receipt of the discussed tax payment forms. So,
Make a motion, we approve the acknowledgement of these tax abatements.
all right, we have motions, or second?
Second.
Second from Morris, all fair say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, those are acknowledged. All right, that concludes what I have for new business. Is there anything from council?
Sir.
Okay, moved on to claims. Entertain a motion concerning the claims.
Make a motion, we pay claims?
Motion to pay the claims, is there a second? Second from John, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Claims are approved. All right, any announcements or discussion?
Sir.
General public comment? Okay, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn?
Motion adjourns, is there a second?
Second.
Second from Sierra, all in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Again, our next city council meeting will be Monday, September 11th at 7:15 PM. We are adjourned. Have a great night.